Today I did the unthinkable. I swore I would never, ever do this, but I did it. I used my camera in auto mode. So today I wanted to do a little experiment and do something that I'd never done before with my camera. Now, before your mind goes in the gutter, all I'm talking about is using the camera on auto mode. Now, as someone who makes a living with my camera and who's been a professional photographer for a while and grew up using manual cameras, the unpardonable sin for so many photographers is to take the camera and put it on that green auto mode and start shooting in that, because basically that mode is for morons and I'm a professional. At least that's how the conventional wisdom goes. But I wanted to see how the camera would react if I did some portraits using the camera in the auto mode with an off-camera flash. And that's exactly what I did. So, took my Canon R5, I put it in the green intelligent auto mode, and you have to remember, it's not just auto anymore, it's intelligent auto. So you've got, I don't know, AI gnomes in the camera doing something or whatnot, but I digress. I took my flash. Now I have an older flash. I guess it's an older flash, 600 EXRT. It's not a version 2, which I believe is the newer one. And I put that on ETTL, which means electronic through the lens, which is a very convoluted way of saying auto. And then I took this modifier, which I love. This is my Lastolite Joe Mcnally softbox. And I stuck a grid on it too. Just why not? So took this Lastolite, put this on a C-stand with my Canon flash, put the camera and the flash in auto, and started firing away at some portraits. And I want to share the results with you because I was really kind of pleasantly surprised with how good they look on auto mode without me butting in and telling my camera what to do. I just let the camera be itself and do its own thing without being like a dad trying to force his kid into the career of his choice. Because let's be honest, I don't know what aperture and shutter speed my camera desires to use, so I figured let the camera decide for once, and that's what I did. Okay, so let's just look at some of the images without me rambling on and on about it. So first I put myself in front of my dark gray artery backdrop, which is one of my go-to backdrops. I really love it. But I'm wearing this sort of yellowish shirt today, and I didn't like how the gray looked with the yellowish. So I took out my other artery backdrop, or one of my other artery backdrops, which is more of like an earth tony color. And that's what I photographed myself in front of. Now, as we review these images together, try to look past my devilishly handsome good looks, because let's be honest, the camera, it loves me. And let's just look at sort of the technical stuff that's going on here. It might not be the most dramatic light, but the camera did an excellent job at giving me pleasing results. Obviously, part of this has to do with where I placed the modifier, but as I did my test, I noticed that almost no matter how I placed my modifier, because I had some of the images the modifier was closer, some of the images the modifier was a little further, some of the images the modifier was feathered more. But no matter what I did, I felt like the camera sort of compensated and wanted to give me a nice, even, flattering light. And it did. I was able to get a little bit more shadowy or dramatic results as I feathered the light further away from my face. But overall, they all have sort of an even look to them. I don't think they're bad at all. I think that they're pretty good. Now you know, if you take your Canon camera and flash, and you have an off-camera flash setup, and you put it all in auto, it's going to do a pretty good job in a modifier on the auto mode. But here's the problem with doing it that way. Obviously, you have no control over anything. So what I did at the end of my test was I took the camera and I put it back in manual mode to snap a few shots. And the main reason I wanted to do that was basically so I could control my depth of field. So the thing that I didn't like about the photos was that they were all rather sharp from beginning to end. So on the auto mode, the camera aperture choice is going to be fine, but it's not going to be anything that's going to let you creatively control your image. So what I did was I took the camera and I put it on manual, and I put the aperture, I set it to 1.4. On all of these images, I used the 50mm 1.4 EF lens. And then I shot some like that, and I used high-speed flash sync. Now, if you don't know what high-speed flash sync is, it's just a setting on the camera that you need to have a specific camera and flash to be able to do this. It lets you use basically any shutter speed with flash. So traditionally, you can only use a certain shutter speed with a flash before you start seeing the actual movement of the shutter. So that's not to get too technical and go down that path, but high speed sync lets you kind of use any speed. So I put the camera on 1.4, used the very fast shutter speed, and here are a couple of results I got that way. So again, these are all unedited, and the main difference was I was able to get a little bit more dramatic light, and I was able to really blur out everything beyond my eye, because that's the way I like to take portraits. When I do my portrait work, I do like to use quite often a very shallow aperture, and this way I can really bring the attention to the face and the eye, and everything else sort of fades away in the background. All right, well, that's basically it for today. Just wanted to do this quick experiment for those of you who maybe don't know anything about studio photography, or you're getting into studio photography, but you feel like it's too daunting a task to learn all of this manual stuff. A great way to get into it is just by doing this, because the big challenge with studio photography is knowing where to place your modifier. And it becomes very difficult, especially for beginners, because now you're dealing with all of these different settings, plus physically finding the right spot to put your flash when it's off camera to get pleasing results. So if you're brand new and you don't know anything about studio photography, this might be a great way for you to just experiment. Let the camera do all the work automatically, and just focus on taking your softbox with a flash and moving it around and seeing how it changes the results of the light hitting your subject. You do need a camera and a flash that allows you to do wireless off-camera auto shooting. So you would need to use certain kinds of equipment. If you just buy like a manual strobe, you cannot do that with it. But if you have some of this equipment, or if you're shooting at first with flash, which was the way that I got started in studio photography. I didn't have any lights. I had a Canon flash, a Canon camera, and then I just got a small modifier and started using the flash out off the camera. That might be something fun for you to experiment with. And I will also say that I love that Joe Mcnally softbox. It's really cool, does a great job. So I highly recommend it, and it's built really well, collapses easily, so check it out. And that's basically all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this short video. I hope that you learned something, or at the very least that you found it mildly entertaining. If you did, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you hit that like button. You can gently press it. You don't have to smash it. And if you so desire, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this video. And I will see you next time. Have a great day with your camera, everybody. Bye for now.